Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're back here with my mock draft 2.0, and I kind of just want to get right into it. And let's just talk about it. I want to hear your opinions. Oh, I just got a little notification. I want to hear your opinions down below. What do you guys think of this mock? Who do you guys have going for your team? Either if it's the Rockets, the Cavs, the Pistons, the Spurs, the Warriors. I want to hear your opinions on my predictions. So let's get right into today's video and let's just get right into it. Cade Cunningham. I know the Detroit Pistons are taking an extensive look at Jalen Green and Evan Mobley, and the two prime guys are Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green. But Cade Cunningham is a generational talent. We don't know if we're ever going to see another player in the next 5 to 10 years like him. Okay, the closest hype, I feel like Cade Cunningham hasn't even gotten the hype he deserves because of the abbreviated season he just had. But he's just as good as a prospect, I feel like, as Zion was. Almost not at the same tier, but should be looked at as an All NBA talent. Now the Houston Rockets, Evan Mobley, and I know I'm still getting flack for this because everyone wants Jalen Green, and I truly believe that Christian Wood could play the power forward. He shot 5 attempts per game this year at like 38%, and the year before at 2.5 3 pointers a game. He attempted 3 pointers a game. He hit at 40%. So he can play it. I don't know if laterally or if he has the quickness and you watch more tape, but Evan Mobley and Woods as your front court, then your back court is John Wall and Kevin Porter Jr. And I have them drafting guards to replace John Wall and Daniel House, Eric Gordon, and the older guys on the roster. Toronto, I know there's a lot of momentum and a lot of people wanting Scotty Barnes. But Kyle Lowry's leaving, guys. And we needed point guard of the generation. No, not point guard of the generation, point guard of the future. And Fred VanVleet can play point guard, but I think he's more of a smaller shooting guard with point guard like skills. And I think he's better utilized at the shooting guard position, Jalen Suggs at the point guard. Then you have OG at the wing position, Pascal Siakam, and hopefully Chris Boucher can bulk up and you have him starting at center. I really like that roster. Orlando, Jonathan Kuminga, they're going to take the second G League player in the draft, and he is a very, very raw prospect in the same vein as Patrick Williams was last year, where they have all the tools needed to succeed as an all NBA defensive player. Okay? And they can put it together. They've shown flashes of it. Kuminga has. And he put up good numbers, high teens scoring in the G League. And I really do believe that he's a guy that when push comes to shove, Patrick Williams and Jonathan Kuminga are going to be the next, Paul George, Jimmy Butler, and Kawhi Leonard type player, maybe like that type of level of players. I'm not like saying the same game and stuff, but where they came out of college as defensive prospects who, if their offensive game could catch up to their defensive potential, they're like one of the better two-way players in the league. And that's what I feel about Jonathan Kuminga and last year's Patrick Williams. OKC gets Scotty Barnes, baby. And Scotty Barnes, he can guard literally the quintessential 1 through 5. And this postseason has showed how valuable he is. And OKC is going to take that. As much as I like Darius Baisley, Scotty Barnes, future 4. Okay? And then you have Pokusevski at the 3 position. And then, there's, the center position's still in the jury's out on that, but they have other picks that I will address that issue. And then they have Shea. I really like that team. The Golden State Warriors need a player. If they keep this pick, because there's rumor that they're going to trade the 7th and James Wiseman, Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell, oh my God, he literally wielded himself to carrying the Baylor to a national championship this past season. And I'm a big fan of Davion Mitchell. And I really think he's the best defensive prospect in this year's draft. Yes, Keon Johnson's up there and it's very close, but what Mitchell is able to do is something that I believe is second to none. He is the best perimeter defender in this year's draft. Okay, he won Defensive Player of the Year. He has the toughness. He can go attack the rim. He can shoot the 3 ball. He shot 45% from 3. His game is tailor made for the modern NBA. Best part about Davion Mitchell, he becomes their 6th man and potentially could win 6th man of the year as a rookie for the Golden State Warriors. Now at 8, Keon Johnson. Imagine the defensive, like how good they'll be at defense, the Orlando Magic in their first year with point guard Markel Fultz and 6-man point guard off the bench Cole Anthony, shooting guard Keon Johnson. Small forward, Jonathan Kuminga. Then Jonathan Isaac at the power forward position. And then at center, Moses Brown or not Moses Brown. Did I really say that? Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba or my man, I'm blanking on his name, Wendell Carter Jr. That's going to ooze a lot of defense. And if everyone starts to catch up on offense, I really believe in James Borrego. That's going to be a team to watch out for. Then James Bouknight, I'm a very big fan of him. He is a shooting guard, but in the modern NBA, you'll be able to see him probably play some time at the three, especially for a team like the Sacramento Kings, who really I think they would love that. Point guard De'Aaron Fox, shooting guard Tyrese Halliburton, small forward, James Bouknight. Once they trade away Buddy Hield, then they have a power forward right now, Marvin Bagley, center Rashawn Holmes. I like that, okay? And they're building around Fox and Halliburton. Holmes is probably going to leave, though, because he's in for a payday. I really do believe that having a guy like James Bouknight is going to be very productive, and he has long arms. He's got good size. He can play off ball really well. He's a 3-level scorer. He can absorb contact, and genuinely, he has the skill to be. He's kind of a sneaky defender. Now at 10, the Pelicans need shooting, and Franz Wagner, I'm a fan. I don't. He's not gonna blow you away. What I do think he's just going to be is he can be a good 3-and-D prospect. He's got some great lateral quickness for compared to his brother who's Mo Wagner. And he's got good off-ball instincts. He's always running around, cutting, trying to get open at the 3-ball position and just trying to hit it. He's a legitimate 40% three-point shooter. And yes, he's a little streaky, but I think the Pelicans having him come off the bench to spell Brandon Ingram would really help him. And by his third year, I could see him being a guy who is a 17-point scorer per game, getting like a steal, maybe even a block a game. Okay? Have similar stats to like Andrew Wiggins, I believe, but more like of shooting, less like driving and stuff. Then the Hornets not reach, but they go for a home run swing. Kai Jones, probably the best defensive, Kai Jones is the best perimeter defensive big man in this draft. He's not the best rebounder. He'll get you like 7 rebounds, maybe the occasional 10 rebounds. He's not going to be a double-double guy. He has the ability to stretch the floor. He's probably the most athletic and exciting and high potential big man because he's kind of like the perfect modern-day big man as a guy who is 6'11", super athletic. Like basically, if Kevin Durant is not that level of athleticism, but if you get that idea, if you put him at center and he didn't really shoot that well, but he was really good at getting steals, getting into lanes, switching from the paint to outside, being able to switch from guarding small forwards, power forwards to centers, okay? And even some of the slower, older guards, I'll bet he could guard. And that's why imagine Kai Jones at center, PJ Washington at the 4, then Miles Bridges at the 3. You got Terry Rozier at the shooting guard, LaMelo Ball at the point guard. Holy crap, I like that. Now, we all know how big of a fan our guys, the San Antonio Spurs, are of the European players. And originally I had them going with Josh Giddey, but I have fallen out of love with Josh Giddey. And Alperen Sengun is a guy who has an old school post game that's down low. He averaged 19 points a game and 9 rebounds and won Turkish MVP, the youngest in history. And he not only gives the Spurs much needed depth at the center position, but he also is the complete opposite. Jokic Poeltl's almost an all NBA defensive center. He's probably like the 3rd or 4th best defensive, maybe 5th best defensive center in the league, like blocking wise, rim protection. And then you could put Sengun in the game as whenever you need scoring from your big man, as a guy playing like kind of start his career out as like an Enes Kanter type role, and hopefully they can develop him into a guy who'll get, once he has significant improvements, he'll be able to be a guy who could potentially defend in space and also space the floor. So I like that pick. Then at 13, I have Moses Moody sliding down, 6'6", almost 6'7", with a 7-foot wingspan. He's a great shooter. Took a bunch of tough contested shots on the move for the Arkansas Razorbacks as their go-to guy. Yeah, he had some inefficiencies, but he shows everything you want to be a really good 3-and-D player in the league. Okay? Now, the Golden State Warriors, because they drafted Davion Mitchell, a defensive 22-year-old. They go with Corey Kesper, another guy. If they don't trade their picks, I want them to go. I think they're going to go with the most guys who contribute right now. This Corey Kesper, 53% from the field, 44 from three, 19 points a game last year, and he tested a lot better athletically than a lot of people were expecting at the combine. Then you have Jalen Johnson, who is the wing from Duke, and he had the biggest hands in the NBA, longest and widest hands in the entire NBA. And he left midway through the season, so we don't really have an accurate judgment of him. But he's a guy who's a really good passer. He's going to be a secondary playmaker for the Wizards, and I know they already kind of have that in Denny Avdia, but Jalen Johnson's a better defender, and I could really imagine a world where maybe if they do get rid of Russell Westbrook and try to run Bradley Beal at point guard, then they put Jalen Johnson at the shooting guard, and with Denny Avdia at the small forward, and then they have basically three guys who are secondary playmakers who have point guard like skills, but they don't play point guard, and they can all take turns being guys. Denny Avdia, Jalen Johnson, and Bradley Beal all dishing, each averaging maybe like 5 assists a game. Denny Avdia, underrated playmaker, didn't get to see it this year because Scott Brooks criminally underutilized him. Then you have Isaiah Jackson, who a few of my subscribers and people have told me from research that he has a wink deal, sort of what Alexei Pokusevski had last year with the Oklahoma City Thunder, that if he's available at 16, they're taking him. So that's my reason there. I think it was per 40 minutes, he averaged 5 blocks a game for the, Kentucky. So, and OKC loves their guys from Kentucky. So I see that. Memphis, Jonas Valanciunas, great guy, but they might move on from him. And Jaren Jackson, I have no problem with him. He's still shaking off the rust from that injury, so I don't think anything's wrong with him. But Brandon Clark kind of regressed. So imagine Usman Garuba. Okay, he starts off as a backup center for Jonas Valanciunas. Then you guys let him walk or trade him, and Usman Garuba, who's one of the best defensive big men in the draft, and he can put the ball on the deck. You have him there playing center next to Jaren Jackson at power forward. Then you got yourself Dylan Brooks and my man Ja Morant, and at small forward right now they have Anderson, but that's subject to change at one point. Then Oklahoma City Thunder, Josh Giddey. He's a guard, point forward. I really liked him. He averaged like 7, and I think 3 or 4 in the NBL. And I think putting him with Shea and him in the front court, because Shea's he had like 5 or 6 assists this year per game, but I think that's his cap. So imagine Josh getting him both averaging like 5 or 6 assists, and then you play off with Pokusevski and the guy they got earlier, Scotty Barnes, and their future center, Isaiah Jackson. Oh my God, tell me that isn't good. New York loves defense because of Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau is going to always push to draft guys who are defensively ready to play in the NBA and have potential to develop offensively, because he'll always play guys who are giving 110% on defense in practice and in games. So Jaden Springer's a match made in heaven if he falls to there. Sharif Cooper, interesting prospect. I'm a fan of Sharif, and I think he has a lot of potential to be successful in the NBA. And Chris Dunn was signed to be the backup for Atlanta, and he really didn't do shit. So Sharif Cooper, I love this guy, and he's a supreme passing wizard. And behind Cade Cunningham and Jalen Suggs, I think he's the third best floor general in this class. He has one of the quickest bursts in this game, in this class, and he's got great ability to get to the rim and utilizes a variety of different layups. And he's also ambidextrous, and he has the speed to dismantle defenses. Yeah, he's 6 foot, 180 pounds, but playing 15-20 minutes to give Trae Young a breather, Sharif Cooper's the guy. Now, New York, one of the biggest guys who climbed up the draft board was Neemias Queta from Utah State. He led the NCAA with 97 blocks this past year, like 3.5 blocks a game. And he entered originally after his freshman year where he had 2.5, and then he was going to be a second-round pick, so he left. And then I don't think he entered last year at all because he kind of had like a worse year. And then he was amazing this year, Defensive Player of the Year for Utah State, and perfect. You saw what Nerlens Noel did there. And Mitchell Robinson's going to come back. They could either trade him or keep him for the season, let him walk, and have Neemias backing him up for the year. They also have Norville Pele there that they have on a multi-year deal. Noel's going to walk. Now you got Neemias Queta backing up Mitchell Robinson, or even starting until Robinson's shaking off the rust. But I love Queta right there, and so does Tom Thibodeau. I know it. Chris Duarte is an older prospect, but he's perfect for the modern NBA, and he's going to be a guy that the Lakers are going to be able to plug and play right now. He's a big guard. He can play shooting guard or small forward. He's 6'6", 190 pounds. He's 24, and he has a bunch of hesitation moves, powerful driving ability that he switches between with ease, and he shows the elite reactivity and taking what the defenders give him with constant success. He doesn't try to force too much. He just works within his game and he does it really well. And he developed into a great shooter this past season. He has the defensive ability with great hands and instincts and not bad lateral quickness. And, he was all Pac-12 defense. So, look, he's a perfect guy for a championship contending team. Next up, Josh Christopher. He was a, 5-star prospect. And, yeah, he finished the year with 43% from the field, 31% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line. But he had 73% shooting percentage when he was going at the rim. And the other player who did that last year was Anthony Edwards with 70%. So he has an underrated playmaking ability with his insane pure scoring ability. So I think he really is a perfect fit for, the Houston Rockets. If they want to put him out there, he could really be your sixth man next year if you trade away Eric Gordon and buy out John Wall and get rid of Daniel House and DJ Augustine. Then Trey Mann. I love Trey Mann. He's a good defensive guy. He's a guy who will never be like a 10 assists per game guy, but he's a guy I could see averaging 14 points, 6 or 7 assists, and almost 2 steals a game. He's that good. And people are probably going to give me shit because I have Zaire Williams falling this far, but he had a really weird year with Stanford, and if he gets drafted higher, it's all because of his high school. I wasn't really impressed with him. He had some moments, but right now he's a guy who's going to come in and be a defensive guy who doesn't have a great jumper and not really any shot creation ability. Okay dribbler, not the best playmaker. He's just going to give you defense. Clippers need that, and he's got some size, but that's what I see with that there. Nothing else impressing me. Quentin Grimes is a guy, shout out, I go to KU, I'm actually in Lawrence right now, and he transferred for us, went to Houston, and went off, and at the Combine, he led the Combine with scoring. I think he scored over 30 points in the 2 games combined, obviously, and shot amazing. He was shooting amazing. He just looked like a man amongst boys. So I think the Denver Nuggets miss what Gary Harris was 4 years ago, that 17-point scorer who had almost 2 steals per game. At 6'5", Quinn Grimes could replace that. And then right here, the Brooklyn Nets, I had such a tough time. So if Jeremiah Robinson Earl doesn't get drafted here, he goes to the second round. Same thing if Ayo Dosunmu doesn't get drafted, he slips to the second round. I like Robinson Earl because Blake Griffin's couldn't probably walk. Maybe they bring him back, but he's perfect for the 4 position. But they also need scoring off the bench, and Dosunmu is a really good perimeter defender. I like Robinson Earl, so I would take Robinson Earl, but don't be surprised if they take Ayo. Then Bones Highland, another guy who blew up during draft weekend. He's just been everywhere reading that the 76ers are going to take him. So I believe it. 76ers are going to take him. Then Jericho Sims, another guy, 7'4" wingspan, 7'3" or 7'2". And he shows the shot block making ability and kind of had a Udoka Azubuike type scouting combine. So I could see him, getting taken by the Suns, who need a backup big because they have Stick Smith, but I think he's more of a stretch 4. And then JT Thor, another guy who blew up over this weekend, and he's a guy that coming out of Auburn, and the Utah Jazz lost because Rudy Gobert was basically being put on an island, being taken advantage of. And JT Thor is one of the fastest risers in the draft right now, and has eye-popping athleticism at the power forward position, is one of the youngest prospects in the draft at 18 years old. He's excellent upside target, and you know what? The Utah Jazz can take a swing right here. And his game improved significantly from his freshman year to this year as he's progressed, showing off a smooth-looking jumper and making defensive highlights regularly. And he can guard legitimately some shooting guards, I think, and he can guard the 3, the 4, and the center position. Right now, maybe not center in the NBA because he's not big enough, 203 pounds, 6'9", but his defensive recovery skills in particular are elite for his size, and Thor's development will be one of the most exciting this track, it says here. So that's it. Tell me what you guys thought was surprising. But yeah, good little video, guys. Peace out.